Well, let's see. We'll move on to yeast starters. Anybody ever done a yeast starter? You have? Okay.
Yeah, I did once but failed.
Failed? Oh, okay. Oh, so you tried to do a yeast starter with dry yeast?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, which, by the way, this gentleman mentioned he went to Y yeast. Dry yeast works. I've never used it. I know there's plenty of people that use it and have good results with it. I've just always gone with the Y yeast because they make different strains. You can get much more specific and closer to style with either the Y yeast or the white labs. They're both high quality product. And also, the other advantage that the liquid yeasts have over the dry is, you know, what you're doing here is, I mean, everybody understands the basic process, right? You put sugar in here, the yeast eats the sugar and gives off alcohol and CO2, right? So, in this instance, the more yeast you throw at it, in general, the better. Now, if you're throwing dry yeast in there, you're throwing, let's say, 500,000 yeast cells in there. With the liquid, you're throwing like 10 million yeast cells in there. So the more yeast cells, I mean, the more yeast cells that you have, the quicker it's going to go after that sugar, eat it, and ferment out completely. Now, for most styles, for most of the stuff that you guys are brewing, you can just grab either the White Labs 2 or the Y yeast activator and pitch that in, and you're going to be just fine. However, if you're going to do an imperial stout or a barley wine, bigger beer, you almost need to do a yeast starter, and they're really easy to do. We sell these kits for $17.95, and basically the way it works is you do a mini batch. You take a cup of dry malt extract and boil that with a quart of water, and just get it to a boil and boil it for like 10 minutes. Cool it down with a little ice bath in your sink, and then you take your Y yeast activator or your White Labs 2 and pitch that in there, put the airlock on, and the next day you'll see some activity in the airlock, and that's when you should brew. So if you're going to do a yeast starter, you're going to want to do it the day before you brew. Because yeah, it will happen quick. You'll see activity in the airlock, and what happens then is those yeast cells multiply. So that by the time you pitch this into your big barley wine, you've got 1 billion yeast cells going in there. Okay, so, and there's so much sugar in these bigger styles, fermentable sugar, that you need to throw that much yeast at it, or it may not ferment all the way out. So that's, and you know, also for that matter, it doesn't hurt to do this with every batch. You don't have to, but it's certainly not going to hurt. You know, if you don't, oh sure, question.
When would you use the yeast nutrient instead of the yeast starter?
The question was, when would you use yeast nutrient instead of starter? Well, you wouldn't. You can add yeast nutrient to the starter. That's not going to hurt anything. But in general, I use yeast nutrient anytime I'm brewing anything with honey in it. If you're ever going to make a mead or anything like that, you definitely need to throw yeast nutrient in there because yeast needs a little bit of help to go after that honey. The honey ferments a little bit differently. But, okay, any other questions on yeast starters?
Can you talk about the stout again? Why you would use a starter versus a liquid yeast?
Well, it's just numbers, really. I mean, you're just throwing that many more yeast cells at it. And the cool thing about a starter is when you pitch this into the wort, this is already actively fermenting. So it's not unusual to see bubbles coming out of your airlock in your batch after a couple hours, if that. I mean, I've seen it happen like 15 minutes later, that thing just starts bubbling. So it's going to start quicker, it's going to finish cleaner, and just in general, and all around better fermentation. Sure.
You match the temperature you started to the temperature.
The question was, do I match the temperature of the starter to the temperature of the batch? And the answer is yes. That's why you make it a day before, so that by the time you're ready to pitch, your yeast starter is already going to be at room temperature. So then you cool your wort down, you know, to below 80 degrees, and then you're good to go.
You pitch every temperature.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, in general, you want to be Yeah, like the packets say, I think 75 degrees. As long as you're under 80 degrees, you're gonna be just fine. Any other questions on yeast starters?